A few days ago, Jack Dorsey stepped down as the CEO of Twitter, and I think that's very telling. He was the co-founder, he was the CEO, he's still on the board, but he's no longer CEO. Yeah, I quit Twitter almost 3 years ago, and this is why. Did you even know Jack Dorsey only owns 3% of Twitter shares? It's basically nothing. But still billions of dollars, I think. Pretty much nothing. He probably doesn't have that much say, probably doesn't have that much sway, probably doesn't have that much opinion. And he could just be a spokesperson going on Joe Rogan, got the little nose piercing and stuff. What are you gonna do? This is why I quit Twitter. Okay, so about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, again, young man, just trying to figure myself out as a person, figure out life, where am I going, all this different stuff. And Twitter was just a place where it wasn't really helping. You go on Twitter and everyone's opinions there, and everyone's, I guess, should have their opinion. Totally okay with that. And I have my opinion. I'm making my opinion in this video about Twitter. But again, you go on Twitter and they give you all these opinions and you're following all these people. And for the most part, people, life's not that easy. So life gets hard. So when people are having a hard day, they tend to go on Twitter and complain about their day or argue about things or react to videos in a negative aspect because they're having a bad day and stuff like that. And then you also have these trolls that go on Twitter, whether that's a person like me, like a young American kid going on there and just, I'm gonna make a burner account and not post my name or not post a picture and just yell at people or curse at people, call them Trumpers, call them racist, call them homophobics, all these different things, right? Or they're Russian and Chinese troll farms and they're just basically robots that are just that are in there just calling people racist, George Floyd this, COVID this, all this different this, these troll farms that we know exist, right? So they're arguing with regular people like me and you, and we go on there and they're like, oh, these troll farms are calling me racist. It's like, what the heck? I gotta argue with these troll farms, and then the algorithm picks up and it just gets crazy. You have people like the president of the United States, Donald Trump, getting banned from Twitter, right? I'm not here to defend the things that he tweeted, but it is the idea that our president got banned from Twitter. The Taliban has a Twitter. You got all these different Twitters. You have all these robots that are tweeting all this social justice craziness, disrupting society, swaying politics, swaying the presidential election, right? They banned certain stories that would go on Twitter and Facebook, Hunter Biden, right? They literally banned those stories. Whether to say those stories are maybe not true or true, right? It seems like they really are more true than they aren't true. But like, how can you ban certain information that mainstream media is actually trying to promote and they ban it? It's crazy. That's swaying the US election. And I'm not here to try to say like election fraud and all this stuff, but this is social media, specifically Twitter and Facebook, right? They're out there doing their thing, but Twitter really is, and again, misinformation is if I were to go onto Twitter and just say some opinion and I don't really know what I'm talking about. I have no facts. I'm just working a 9 to 5 and I'm just pissed off and I just tweet something into the ether and I have no idea what I'm talking about. That would be more misinformation. But if I were to know exactly what I'm saying is completely Joe Rogan took horse dewormer. It's like, that's not true. A doctor prescribed it and it was human ivermectin. That's just not true. And if I were to go on Twitter and Facebook and all these social media accounts and claim this and say this, like, that's disinformation. That's no longer misinformation. Now I'm going out of my way to lie and misrepresent information on social media. And I think Twitter, and specifically Twitter and Facebook, they really let this happen. If not, they have their own agenda and they push disinformation, right? It's really interesting. Again, they ban certain people, doctors that want to talk and converse about COVID and the vaccine and different things like that. I'm not anti-vaxxer. I'm not saying anything like that. And I know even saying these keywords, anti-vaxxer, YouTube picks it up and it's like, oh my God, we don't know what to do. We got to shadow ban Luke Vaughan. It's like, no, I'm just trying to have an open conversation. That's really all I'm trying to do. And Twitter doesn't let that happen. And the cyberbullying and all this different stuff, LGBTQ, if I call somebody the wrong gender, I literally get banned. But we have a terrorist organization, the Taliban, has their Twitter just in case nobody can misrepresent them. We don't want that to happen. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't really make that much sense, but what are you gonna do? And definitely understand this. I quit Twitter before I just spoke about everything that I just said. All the Trump, the George Floyd, the BLM, the COVID, the everything. LGBTQ. Well, LGBTQ's been going on for a while, but I quit Twitter before all of that stuff. And still, it was the best decision I've ever made. And I just knew it was gonna go down that hole of just like this it's so negative. It's so negative. Like there's parts of Instagram that are pretty cool. There's parts of Instagram that can be negative. You know, I tend to unfollow a lot of people because people just repost anything. They really do just repost anything. At this point, I'm just really reposting like my small businesses and my videos and my podcast links. Check that out, link in the description. Yeah, it's like Twitter just became this like playground for just basically it's just like bullying people for ideological views, and basically it was just like a LARPing of political identity. That's really what it is. It's like a LARPing of political identity and a whole bunch of virtue signaling. And if you don't know what virtue signaling is basically let's get the definition. All right, virtue signaling, according to the Cambridge Dictionary, quote, an attempt to show other people that you are a good person. For example, by expressing opinions that will be acceptable to them, especially on social media. Quote, the expression is often used to imply that the virtue being signaled is exaggerated or insincere. So basically, virtue signaling is posting a black screen on Instagram to tell everybody that you're not a racist. That's not doing anything for social justice. And I'm sorry, hit the dislike button and nobody's gonna see you disliked it. I'm trolling, I'm sorry. Alright, seriously. Twitter is a good place to find quick information. A school shooting happens, you know about it. Boom, instantly. Certain videos pop up. Maybe they fall off of Twitter, but they pop up and you can find them. Maybe fights at a boxing match, you know, backstage or something. They'll show up. UFC, a fight in the crowd. Boom, Twitter would be the first place for you to a natural storm like a hurricane, tornado. Twitter would be the first place, low key, to find really good videos and first counter footage. Don't get me wrong. That is true. Like Twitter is one place where I would stay on top of some things and be sometimes the first person to know about it. Overall in life, it doesn't really fucking matter, right? It really is not going to change your life that you're the first person to figure out that there was a tornado that took out a middle school in Oklahoma. And as bad as that is, it's really not affecting my life, and it's really wasting my time that I'm on Twitter all day just to be able to tell somebody, yo man, I'm the first person to figure out that there was a tornado in freaking Oklahoma today, man. It's like, Luke, you know what? No one gives a fuck and you ain't gonna do nothing with that information. And there is a sense of that is true, but I guess in that, what are you gonna do? That's more like an ideological like view that you gotta get to, where it's like, okay, now I'm just like, this information, even if it is right or wrong, like it doesn't really matter to my life. And it's like, I could be, you know, maybe working more hours. I could be putting more time in my business. I could be making another YouTube video, making another podcast, editing podcast clips. But instead, I'm waiting to find one cool thing, one good thing of information to make myself sound smart and make myself sound like educated. And I just wait on Twitter to find it. And I was doing that for a little while as well. So that was a big reason why I was like, okay, hold on. I got to get off this application and do something a little bit better and more valuable with my time. And again, as fast as that information can be spread on social media, it's not always accurate information. Like when a cop shoots somebody and there's a 10-second clip that's going viral on social media and everyone's like, oh my god, the cop's a criminal, the cop's a murderer. And in all reality, that could be true. It could not be true. It could be true. But all we're basing our decision is off a 10-second clip with usually zero context, zero dialogue, zero explanation, nothing afterwards, nothing beforehand, no explanation. And it goes viral, and then you have celebrities that watch it and be like, oh my god, because they're virtue signaling. They don't want to say the wrong thing. They see something crazy happen and they want to be a good person. Kind of understandable. But then they take this ridiculous stance on something that then proves to be wrong, that they're wrong. It's, again, misinformation. And Twitter, things go viral. But at the end of the day, you're a free person. You're allowed to do what you want. And if you want to be on Twitter and you want to say information, read information, you should be able to. I think you should be able to. But I do think Twitter, it's a very fine line, especially at the end of the day. Mental health, it's bad for your mental health. It's bad for your personal life. Low key, in my opinion, Twitter, it's just bad for you. Take care of yourself. I don't really know what else to say. I quit Twitter 2-3 years ago, and it was one of the best decisions I did with my personal life, my social media, and just my internet life interaction with that whole like world. It was the best decision I've ever made. So guys, I think you should look into that and maybe consider doing the same thing. But again, you are allowed to do whatever the heck you want. So smash that like button, subscribe. Vlogmas Day 7. Deuces.